Okay, hello everybody. This is Madelaine again from the Mad Juice series. This is our third in a row, I think, right now. And I'm thoroughly enjoying speaking to all these amazing people with beautiful, inspirational lives. So the key or the idea of it is to sort of inspire you to create something different in your life, or to encourage you to step more into your light and into what you want to do in your life. So today I've got a beautiful, lovely lady called Anne Aleckson, and I connected with Anne only a few weeks ago through another network, where I actually put a question out to say, I'm curious to know if anyone is, in business to make a positive change on the planet. And Anne was one of the people that said, yes, that's me. And we started to chat, and I found Anne extremely interesting and inspiring, and I'm hoping that you will too. So welcome, Anne. It's a pure delight to have you here. And what we normally do is I've got this beautiful little box with questions, and I normally just pull a card before I go on to talk to someone. And we start kicking up from there. We kind of have an idea about where this is going, but like I said to Anne before, we've got an idea, but maybe this conversation will go somewhere completely different. We don't know. But the question I've got is, what does your heart have to say?
Oh, I love that. Hello, Madelaine. Thank you so much for inviting me to have a conversation with you. We are going to have some fun.
Yes.
And you know what's really interesting about that question is that I often say to people, as a direct voice channel, that I am actually just channeling the voice of their heart and soul. Mm. So the question, what does my heart have to say? Really, wow, it's coming through very beautifully and strong. I think I'm feeling everyone's energy, but certainly this, you are loved. Mm. And we want to add to that and say you are loved far beyond you can even possibly imagine. And if you would just step into that, everything would be exactly as you want it to be. Mm.
That's so beautiful. I really love that. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we still forget that, don't we?
Well, I think we have such a small glimpse of it. We don't realize the capacity of it. You know, because I work with non-physical streams of consciousness, when I'm working with those streams of consciousness, it sometimes feels like my heart is going to burst. The amount of the energy or the essence of love that I feel when that's happening is just, it's incomprehensible to the human brain, I think.
Yeah, because that's the cool thing about you, right? So for people that don't know, you channel. So you and what that means is, well, tell us what that means. For someone that's got no idea, I know what it is, but a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're quite right. And there are so many different ways of channeling as well. Okay, so let me explain it this way, first of all. So I have the ability to move my conscious mind out of the way and allow a stream of consciousness that is non-physical to speak through my voice. And I do that through having unlocked my superconscious mind or my higher mind, which then allows you to open up all of your innate abilities. And, you know, our innate abilities are being psychic, being far more intuitive than we've pretended to be for so long. We have lots and lots of innate abilities, and I won't go into them too much. A lot of my clients call me their own Esther Hicks because essentially if you know who that is, then you know what I can do as well. So other ways to channel, of course, and most of us do this. Channeling is as old as time itself. Writers, you know, a lot of people move their conscious mind out of the way and just flow writing. And so they channel in that way. And of course, everybody knows that someone who is an amazing songwriter or an amazing guitar player or any kind of musician, any kind of artist, what they're essentially doing is getting out of their own way and allowing that to come through them. It's being created through them. In fact, it's actually the true meaning of being a manifester. You have an idea like, hey, I want to be the greatest singer in the world. And in doing so, the non-physical parts of you, which want to give you everything that you want, or some people say, well, the universe, I'm going to ask the universe for it. Those aspects of you bring you everything you need to be that. So they open you up to remembering that you already are that, and then give you the strength to go out and do it, whatever. And then you physically manifest it into the world. That's truly what manifestation is. And yeah, so essentially what I'm saying is that unlock your superconscious mind, start knowing yourself as you truly are, and you really can create or manifest anything that you want.
Absolutely. I believe that. And it's funny because, you know, a lot of people think this is all woo-woo and it's all crazy stuff and it's not really real and all that sort of stuff. But if I can break it down to neuroscience a little
Beautiful.
bit, people, one thing that happens is that in the back of our brain, we got something called the RAS system. Your reticular activating system sits at the back of your head. And it's like your filter. It filters in your environment, or it filters in what you need in your environment. So I can't remember the exact number, but I think we have around about 60,000 bits of information thrown at us every second. We can't possibly, you know, process all that. So what the RAS filter does is it filters in the stuff that we need, because we can only process 120 bits or something like that. And the way it processes is, it's because of your belief system, right? So if you have a belief system, and the belief systems are grown from when we're really young, but if we have a belief system that says, you know, we really believe that we're going to be really successful or whatever, your RAS filter will actually help you to filter in stuff in your environment to create that reality for you. So that's why a lot of people, if you or if you know someone that always seems to be surrounded by chaos or whatever, it's because there's something going on in the subconscious that's you know, allowing the RAS filter to filter in the reality that they are believing. Because RAS filter does not care what's right or what's wrong. It just cares about what you are telling it to focus on. That's it. It doesn't care about if it's positive or negative. It doesn't.
No, it has no judgment on that.
No judgment at all. So there is actually a scientific reason or truth to what it is that, you know, you were just talking about. And it's really powerful. And if you really understand how to start working with it, things happen for you. Right?
And they happen quickly.
They do.
That's the thing. But yeah, I love neuroscience. You know, when it first started coming out, all the stuff about brain plasticity, I was so, you know, I was so thirsty for it, and I would read it and I would go, oh my God, that's what's happening. Now I understand. But, you know, so some people would come from it from the brain perspective, and I come from it from the non-physical perspective, but it's the same thing. You know, I always say that science is just the explanation of magic or something like that. But I come from the magic side and people come from the science side. We're all in the same journey. You know, and we're merging more and more and more. You know, brain plasticity and positive psychology and these sorts of things have really brought the fields together. If we would just acknowledge that for each other instead of trying to make it, well, the spiritual's holier and mightier, or, you know, the brain stuff and the science is more important. They're both equally important.
Absolutely. And the cool thing with the science is that it actually is proving the thing that people have been talking about for thousands of years, right?
Exactly.
And, you know, I'm those kind of people. I like proof. So for me, it's great. It's because there's so much proof out there now. You can go
so much
about all this stuff, and you can get that scientific proof. But at the same time, you don't have to. You can just trust it, and you can just go for it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, and the amazing thing is that even though you have a belief system that might say you're wanting something really positive, if you have another counteracting belief that says the opposite, well, I'm not worthy, or I want this, well, you have the I'm not worthy, or whatever it is. The thing is, you still have to fix that. You have to get rid of it, like
Absolutely.
we in another show, but you have to include it, and you have to change your perception on this as well. So,
exactly.
because your RES filter still filters in what's true for you, and even if you consciously want to become a millionaire, that's not gonna, if you have belief systems that doesn't support that. And also, on top of that, if someone's going to ask me, anyone can become a millionaire. The reason why you would want to become a millionaire is just because you want to have the feeling of being a millionaire. So
have the feeling first.
Think about that. Yeah, it's actually not about the physicality, no matter how much you believe it.
And that's really important. And it's interesting that you bring the whole millionaire and money thing into it, because money's actually been my biggest issue throughout my journey. So up until 13 years ago, I was just living a normal life, and I was doing well, and never had a problem with money, never in my life. And then when I started doing this spiritual work and started examining my feelings and these sorts of things, and started trying to change my beliefs, I started having problems with money for a very long time, because I did have all of these sneaky little buggers of beliefs that were contradicting my desires. And, when it comes to money, because it's such a big thing for so many of us, if we don't have it, we put all this judgment on it. And if we do have it, we put all this judgment on it. In other words, you can't win. But because it's made out to be such a hard thing, we all take on that belief. And it's actually, when you finally realise it, it's actually no different than the air that we breathe. And nobody ever steps outside their front door in the morning and goes, God, I hope there's some air for me to breathe. They just take a breath. And if we can come into that sort of ease around money, it then starts to become easier. Because and that was my problem, is that, I wanted, not a millionaire necessarily, but I wanted more than enough. I was so always living at just enough. I wanted more than enough. And I had all this wonderful other things happening to me because I was connected to the group that I work with, and my work was flowing and all of these sorts of things, but I was still having these, money was my biggest thing, as I say. But when you are affirming, I'm rich, or I'm this, or I'm that, and there's this little part of you at the back saying, well, no, you're not, love. What are you fibbing for? You have to deal with that first. You have to go and say, well, and the way that I did it was to say, okay, so I started to think of that as my money shadow. And so one day I just sat down and I started to write it. I'm like, well, okay, money shadow, what are you trying to tell me? Why do you come up like this? What are you trying to tell me? And wrote and cleared a lot of that sort of stuff. Because I just had to acknowledge it. You see, I'd been not acknowledging. I've been doing this, affirming this is what I want, and not looking at what I was actually currently living. Which is a big mistake we make.
And actually, funnily enough, I just had a discussion with someone about that yesterday. This person wanted to get underneath 100,000 on their mortgage.
Right.
And I said, why do you want that? Yeah, because once I get under that, it's going to feel great. But what's it going to feel like when you get that? I said, when you get that, you're going to feel exactly the way you're feeling right now, because what you're saying to yourself is, I want to get 100,000. That's not what you're saying. You're saying, I don't have it. I'm not under 100,000 yet. I'm not under 100,000 yet. So what's going to happen when you get to under 100,000? You're still going to feel, I don't have it. I don't have enough yet. Now I need to get under a 50, because then
exactly. That'll prove.
Yeah, because what you're looking for is the feeling of being under 100,000 on your mortgage. Like, wow, what does that feel like? So how can we make that feeling right now? How can we create that now?
And even deeper than that, you're actually looking for the feeling that you're enough, that you're whole, that you're perfect. You know, and because so you can have those feelings, and life happens for you when you are living in those feelings that you're enough, that nothing ever goes wrong for you. I actually have an expression. I say life is happening for me. So even if something appears to go wrong in other people's perceptions, I don't see it that way. I can see the gift in it immediately. So yeah, the deeper thing we're all looking for is this acceptance, this knowing that we're enough, this knowing that we're good enough, all of those type of things.
Absolutely.
It's a deep wound. I am not enough is a very, very deep wound.
And do you find, because I know that you're working with a lot of women, this is my experience, it might not be yours, that a lot of women especially has got the I'm not enough belief rooted inside.
Absolutely.
Themselves. Yeah.
I do a lot of healing work. Excuse me. Everything that I do starts with a healing work, because what I understand is that we are all born with a wound. Now, what I know about the feminine lines is that we're all born, that we all bring through this wound from generation to generation. And if I had to name it, I would say I'm not enough. That's the wounding that we all come through. It actually goes further back to being rejected, which is, I am not enough is a symptom of rejection. It all goes back to being rejected by source, essentially. When we become a human being, we are being rejected by source, even though that's not true. That's the feeling we come in with, that if I'm coming to be a human, I've been rejected from source, which is the most beautiful feeling space. So therefore I must not be good enough. Now, of course, we don't consciously know these things, but certainly if someone's listening and they're feeling this, then it's maybe something for them to look at within themselves.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. What just popped up into my head was Wayne Dyer used to say that when you're in the womb and you're in your mom's belly, you're so looked after and everything happens naturally, like your ears, pop out in your eyes and everything.
You don't have to go, oh, I want ears.
You don't do anything. And then when you're born, your parent or the parent goes, well, we'll take over from here. So it's kind of that, and it's that slit. It's that kind of cut that says, okay, now it's our turn to take care. And we forget that, there's this natural cycle, and we kind of, there's this cut.
Exactly. And that's almost that same expression that I was saying about money being like air. We don't question whether there'll be any air there. We just breathe. And we don't question, whether the grass is going to grow. It just does, and we know it does. Nature's so beautiful as a teacher.
Yes, absolutely. So how do you then support people with sort of tapping into that super conscious, or really tap into themselves? Like what do you do?
So I work with women on a practical level in a couple of different ways. I do one-off sessions where what we do in that session is I just channel. They just talk about what we like to help people get from where they are to where they want to be, and we can bridge that gap for them. And the way that we do that is by to open your superconscious mind, or that next level thinking. That next part of your brain that is in those non-physical realms and that can allow you to tap into those non-physical things, is to clear out your wounding. It's the greatest thing, to clear out your wounding, to look at all your subconscious or unconscious beliefs and clear those out. Now, I'm very blessed in that, because of the work that I do and the team that I work with, the non-physical that I work with, we actually do energy healing to do that for people. So in a session with someone, we do channeling, and then we do some energy healing. The guides sometimes use my hand to do clearings within the energy field, and they build symbols in people's energy fields of course, remembering that time doesn't exist. So I can do it with anyone, anywhere in the world. So they build symbols and open heart spaces, and they work with the chakras. They don't call them chakras though, they just call them energy centers, and they're slightly different than the ones that we know of as chakras. And then they remove people's masks. For women particularly, we do a lot of work on the heart, the throat, and removing masks, because we come into the world as a female, and we take on all these beliefs about being a female, that we've got to be good, that we've got to be quiet, that we've got to support people, not be the leader, these sorts of things. And we see them as masks in front of us. Some of them we bring from past lives, you know, like the masks of persecution. Very big one for females, because many of us this lifetime are coming in to bring all of those skills from our past lives with us, so that we can start creating this new world that we're moving into, this evolution that we're going through. So removing masks. And we also do go up into the brain a little bit and do some clearing of habitual ways of being, so that people can start building new habits that are more supportive for them. So I do that energy work with clients. Longer term, I do bespoke spiritual development coaching type things, where it's a longer period. We do all the healing, but the healing continues. You see, when you step into a situation, it's like, you know, we talk about the glass ceiling, income-wise and leadership-wise for women. Whenever you start taking the journey, consciously taking the journey, your healings, your blocks and your things that need to be healed come up all the time. Because what you're basically saying is, you're saying, hey, universe, remember the law of attraction, ask, believe and receive. Hey, universe, I'm ready to grow now. And so the universe does what it does, and it starts to bring up all your stuff. Most people run away at that point. I don't want to do it anymore, it's too hard. Or they complain that everything's falling apart. It will, absolutely, because you've been spending years wishing that things were different. And then when you put the question out there and allow the universe to, or receive from the universe what you need, all of that will come up to be cleared, because you asked. And whenever you're asked, it's given to you. That's an absolute truth. That's not a book knowing that I have. That's an absolute truth that I know from working with my guides. So yeah, with that, it's a longer term thing, so that we can not just do the healing work with people, but help them to really recognise the mission that they're here to do in the world. It's not a big scary thing. Sometimes it's just a mission around the people in their family. You know, for many women, what I find, their mission is to be the conduit for healing for the feminine line. So to heal themselves, they heal their mother, they heal their daughters, they heal their sisters. And then those, once they're healed, they then share that energy on as well. This is this big feminine rising that we're seeing, is clearing all of that stuff that you were just talking about, that we were just talking about.
Wow. So your work is mostly with women, is that right?
Well, I like to work with women, and I like to work with women because they're so damn powerful and they don't know it, you know. But as well as that, the evolution that we're going through, where we've had a very unbalanced left brain or masculine side, and it's taken control and power, and it doesn't want to let go of it. It's natural that the feminine wants to now step in, and I don't mean female, I mean feminine energy, the right brain energy. And when those two are in perfect balance, it's a beautiful sight to see. There's flow, and there's ease, and there's gentleness, and there's no war. And since my mission actually is world peace, that's, to me, that just gets me so excited.
Yeah.
And women, I mean, let's face it, women wouldn't send their children off to war, would they? Well, when they're in their full balanced masculine feminine, they will not. I once had a discussion with someone who said that her son was considering joining the army, and I said, and this is a very left-brained women, as so many of us are, because we're trained that way, and I was being a bit cheeky at the time. And I said, oh, so you're okay if he dies? And she said, well, no, we're not at war, so that's not going to happen. And I said, yes, but what if we go to war? Are you okay sending him off to die? And she said, that's not going to happen. She's getting angrier and angrier. And then I stopped, of course, because I don't want to push it. I'm not someone who wants to fight with anyone, but I was just trying to make the point. Really, women do not want to send their children off to war. Neither do men, but men are, you know, so used to being this masculine. The people that staunchly fight for war all the time, when they drop into themselves, that's not what they really want. So anyway, this young boy didn't end up joining the army, but you know, it's absolutely true. When a world led by women doesn't include war, it doesn't include starving children, it doesn't include homelessness. Now, when I say women, again, I'm talking about feminine energy. So there are men who have that as well. Yeah, I'm not discounting that. I love men, absolutely love them. I myself am the mother of an adult son and a teenage son. So how could I not love them? This is not about man versus woman. No. It's about bringing us all together into this more aligned, more whole, right brain, left brain blending.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone will benefit from that, right? Because, you know,
absolutely.
Once we start taking responsibility for ourselves, our actions, our pain, and everything else, then the world will become a better place. So
exactly,
you know, it's a great mission, and it is really a way to make the world a better place or create more peace in the world, what you're doing. So it's beautiful.
Well, one of the things that I teach people, and one of the things that I only teach from my own experience through the teachings of my guides. I decided, well, I didn't decide, but I was told that my mission was world peace through inner peace, one person at a time. So world peace is my soul's mission. Inner peace, one person at a time, is my life purpose. So that's why I work with one person at a time. And see, when we get rid of all of our blocks and negative beliefs and things, and our wounding, and when we unlock our superconscious mind, we actually become peaceful. And so as a peaceful being, when you can vibrate at that, and you do that just by simply believing in peace and knowing peace and bringing it into your energy field every day, everyone around you starts to become peace. And it spreads out and it spreads out and it spreads out. So that's how we get to world peace, one person at a time.
Beautiful. It's a great mission, and you know, I'm completely with you. I'm a great believer in having as a mission to make the world a better place. In saying that, knowing the world we live in doesn't always look like that. What's been your greatest challenge so far?
Well, I think I got into a little bit before. My greatest challenge has always been money. You know, I over the 13 years I've been endeavouring to become responsible for my own self, become sovereign. Money's been the hardest thing for me to get a handle on, because I thought it was something outside there, and I thought it was something that you needed, and all of those normal things that we think, because that's what we think. I actually 3 times I've gotten that close to homelessness, and I just thank God that I didn't become homeless. Only because I have family that allowed me to move in with them. Thank God for my mother. And it wasn't a comfortable situation, because we had stuff we needed to clear. She's a female, I'm a female, we have lots of females in the family. There was a lot of female wounding that needs to be cleared. That was part of my journey, was to continue to move myself back into her home where she doesn't want anyone else to be, forcing us to clear this wounding that belongs to our feminine line in the family. So 3 times I did that, and it was all based around money. So 3 times having to almost, the last time I didn't actually end up having to go back to her. I finally got it right. I finally started to really understand that money is just an energy, and that I needed to know that I'm also just an energy. Money's an energy. we're not separate, and it's not something outside of me that I'm chasing after all the time. And by the way, that's how I think of my guides as well. They're just simply non-physical aspects of me. So they're not something scary and outside of me that comes in and takes over. I just invite my non-physical aspects to come into my being as a human being and do what we need to do in order to fulfill our purpose and mission.
And that's, you know, again, like I study or look a lot like at heart math and things like that.
Yes.
And what you're talking about now, it's just the collective consciousness, right? So everything exists in the collective consciousness, really. And if you're interested in that, anyone here, check out heart math, because they've done a lot of study on this specific thing. And I'm sure there's other ones that do it too. But
heart math is great. I've been following them for years as well. That was another thing that confirmed a lot of what was happening for me and brought it into reality and made me think, well, it's okay, I'm not going mad. Because as I mentioned to you before the call, when all of that was first happening to me, I was hearing this voice and then I was feeling this stuff in my throat and people were saying, you need to just let it come through. I thought I was going mad. I really did. And so heart math and heart coherence, the heart coherence work really helped me, because some of the stuff that was happening to me was around my heart, and that my guides were teaching me these ways to come into heart coherence and joy. And I created this thing called the joygasm, which was all around the heart coherence and the energy or the feeling of joy.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, you know, it's, again, like, it's something that you can go and check out and see what they've done, some tremendous work on exactly what we're talking about here. So I'm just every time just trying to bring it into science and all that sort of stuff, because the idea of it all these is that is trying to get people to really be able to connect with what's going on here. So that's why I keep bringing in all these things.
No, I love it.
And it's really important for people to kind of, you know, be able to go from here and go check something out or go do some research or things like that.
No, and every time I do an event or anything and people, you know, kind of want the scientific stuff, I'm like, you know what? I know all the scientific stuff. I just don't have the capacity to share it because I'm too busy with this other stuff.
Exactly right.
So here's where to go and find it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And you know, we all have our way of delivering that message. It's just, and you have your way, and that is the way that you should be doing it, and that's amazing. And you will attract the people that will need to hear it in that way.
Exactly. And that's you know, the reason that I do a lot of the kind of work that I do is because we're all here to do it in our own unique way. It doesn't have to look like someone else. So I don't need to have the science stuff. Other people do, and that's okay. We've got to start being okay with that. Whatever it feels best for you to do, to be you, is the only way to go.
Absolutely. And the thing about as well, what I loved about what you said, you know, you're hearing this voice or this information coming in, like the consciousness coming in, and how it opened up your heart. And that's another beautiful, interesting thing to look at as well. We actually have more neurons in our heart and in our gut than we have in our brain, and studies now show that our gut and our heart communicates with the brain, and then the brain communicates with the body. It's not the brain that's in charge, it's our other two brains that's in charge, right? And that's powerful, right? That's really powerful information to know. And I just love how you said, you know, it started to open up my heart, because that's the intelligence, it's the heart intelligence, right? And your gut as well. It's, you know, talk about gut feeling. We have all these ways of saying things. So I can feel it in my gut, it didn't feel right. That's why we have neurons down there more than we have in our brain, and they communicate with the brain and tell us, well, something's not right, or this feels really good. So again, helping people to drop in and really connect with what you call the superconscious or whatever we call it, right? It's powerful stuff, because we're more intelligent than we believe.
So much more. And I've got a great story around that, but that's for another time. But just with regards to the heart, one of the things that we, you know, when we're working with clients, we do a lot of heart opening work. And one of the things that I notice is that, because when I'm doing this sort of work, I get little images and things like that, because they're doing the work and I'm just sitting here doing nothing, basically. What a life, what a job.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy, though.
Yeah.
But I often see, and I experienced it the other day with a client, that her heart actually was encased in barbed wire, right? So really locked up, because she'd had a lot of pain through her life. And one of the things that we always say is that the most amazing thing that I know about this is that, you know, we spend our whole lives protecting our heart from being broken. One thing that I do know is when you actually live with a whole open heart, there is actually nothing that could ever hurt you. There's nothing that could hurt you when you are open-hearted. It's the most incredible thing. It's again the law of attraction stuff, that whatever frequency or energy you're emitting is what will come back to you. So when you live with an open heart, all you get back is all this love. And yet we spend our whole lives holding it tight and covering it up and not letting anyone in.
And that's normally what's causing the pain, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's closing up that's causing the pain. And the amazing thing is, you know, of course, we're going to be hurt in our life. That's just part of the journey. We're going to feel hurt. But for you to feel love, we've got to feel the pain, because otherwise we don't have anything to compare it to. You know? We don't know light without darkness. How could you possibly, you know? We've got to feel it. We've got to experience it to be able to feel the fulfillment and joy that we are so looking for.
Well, contrast is a good thing, because it then allows you to go, hey, actually, you know what? I'd prefer not to have that.
Yeah.
How do I now have the opposite? Or how do I now have something different? And grow and explore. And, you know, that's how my journey started, was because I was incredibly unhappy. And someone said, you can choose to be happy. And I wanted to slap him. But I thought, well, what if he's right? So I started a journey of trying to find out whether he was right. And he was, much to my annoyance.
We have a choice. And a lot of people don't realize that we have that choice. And
well,
I never either, until I came up to that, you know, I realized that, or someone told me, I can't remember. And I went, oh my gosh, really? I can choose to be happy. I can choose to hold on to whatever it is I'm holding on to, or I can choose to let it go. You know, it's that old saying of being angry is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You know, that's
silliest thing ever. But yeah, no, absolutely. And this is why, you know, I mean, everyone knows how much the world changes, and we're going through a huge change at the moment. All these disruptive companies are starting up and these sorts of things. But the evolution that humans are going through, in other words, this evolution where we're starting to need to know these things, that we can have choice, that we are more powerful than we think we are, all of this sort of stuff. That's why industries like coaching and the spiritual industry itself, the healing industry, are becoming more and more prevalent, and you're seeing more and more of them around, and it will continue because it is my understanding that we're evolving as human beings, and in order to do that, of course, we have to start knowing ourselves better than we've ever known ourselves before. We're not just this meat suit. You know, there is just so much more to it. This body is simply the physical manifestation of the non-physical, or of source, or even, you know, and forgive me if the word triggers anybody, but even the physical manifestation of God. And we've got to start living like that. This is where we need to go to evolve into what I was speaking about before: world peace, no hunger, every being cared for and loved, and the killing of, you know, animals and things like that has to stop as well. But that's a natural evolution that we're going through. We don't have to fight for it. We have to just allow each and everyone to evolve around it. That's why it's so important that women start speaking their true message.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I could talk to you for ages about all this stuff. It's super interesting, and I really enjoy it. But to sort of wrap up, what's the one thing, if someone's sitting right now going, okay, yeah, I understand all this stuff, I want to start stepping into that part of me, or I want to connect to that superconscious, what's like the something that someone could do right now to sort of take that first little mini step?
Right. Great question. And I immediately know exactly what to say. It's not what I thought I was going to say. So it's in two parts. The very first thing to do is to meditate. Now, find a way that works for you. I don't meditate in the traditional way by any shape or form. I do have on my website a process that works really well for people like me who don't meditate in the traditional way. It's a way of counting backwards from 100 that seems to work when you're interested in connecting to these other parts of yourself. But to spend, even as little as 10 minutes a day, just get quiet and just breathe, and deep breathing is really good. But breathe, do the counting if you need to, but just try and allow your mind to do what it's doing without being attached to anything, and just ask. Honestly, one thing I know more than anything else is that there are non-physical aspects of you that are just begging you to let them help you. Now, it sounds like that's something outside of you. It's not. It's inside you. There's an inner part of you that knows your power, that knows your journey, that knows how you get there. And all you need to do is stop being busy all the time. Stop being up here in your head all the time. Get quiet and ask that part of you, what can I do? What would help me do this? How do I get from here to there? Because, again, I'm going to bring in the law of attraction. Ask, the universe delivers, your only job is to receive. See, what we do is we ask and then we try to figure out how to get it. And if we would just stop doing that, you'll receive the answer. There's a part of you that has the answer. You will receive the answer, and then your only job is to hear that answer or see that answer or feel that answer, and then take the action that comes from that.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful. And it's, just what you said about the counting, what it does, it causes you to focus and remove focus on everything else. So you're just counting, and it's fascinating how powerful that is, to just allow yourselves to focus on something, because that's what meditation is really. It's
exactly
just focusing on one thing instead of multitasking a million things at the same time.
A million and one.
And that's so powerful. So that's really good, something really powerful
practical
that you can come and take home and use it, and just ask and try not to analyze. Right? So it's like letting go of that conscious mind. Beautiful. That's great. Wonderful. Thank you for that. So we have a quick 5 questions before I'm going to let you go, because I know you're busy. It's just 2 or 3 words, and I want you to just finish the sentence for me. You ready to play? Beautiful.
Yay!
All right. The world is
beautiful.
I love it when
people get that they're more powerful than they think they are.
If I had time, I would.
If I had time, I would. Gosh, I don't even know. There's so many things. If I had time, I would write my book.
I like that. I am my happiest when
I'm alone. I love my own company. But I also love other people. Community is very important to me. And I grow a big community on Facebook. But I am happiest when I have that time to myself with some coloured pens and some paper. I love writing words. Words are my thing.
Yeah. Well, you can be alone but not lonely, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. My future is
phenomenal. As is everybody's. Yeah. I've seen the future, I know.
Beautiful. Well, that's a lovely way to end this beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Anne, for taking your time out to share your beautiful visions and stories and mission with us, and it's been absolutely a treat. So thank you so much.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.